Hi there, I'm Frances and welcome to Love Teaching at Home. This is a Learn Along video looking at the Raspberry Pi. So this session is about making an LED flash, which is one of the more basic projects. Someone online calls it the same as Hello World. I think it's the link I put in. Hello World, which is the first thing that people program into a new computer as well. It's like writing your name with a new pen on your first day of school. One of the first things you do. So for this tutorial, we break out into the world of like physical electronics as well as computing. So this is what I really like because I love the sort of little fiddly bits and making things work, not just what goes on in the computer. And this is a really good one for kids as well. This is the beginning one for kids because it's pretty instantaneous excitement and it's possible to go and do it in many different ways. So the setup we have looks like this. I'll unplug this a bit in a second to show you it. So this is our Raspberry Pi. It's set up just an absolute standard. In fact, I'll take this pin board off. There we go, right. It's set up an absolute standard. I've got the power cable, the HDMI cable and the mouse, and my keyboard is here, Bluetooth. If you have a look at my Python Pong video, that has more information about the setup. I'm also using these. Now, I'll get a bit closer so you can see what these are. This is a breadboard. Not the sort of breadboard you expect. This is a breadboard. It's got lots of little holes in. This is a sticky surface. If you peel this off, I think it's sticky, and so you can stick it onto things, which is useful unless you want like this to move it around. So if you had a dedicated electronic space, like if you're lucky enough to have a big attic or something, and your kid can have a massive table to work at, you might want to stick these onto a nice piece of big piece of wood, so that it's like a bit of a desk and nothing's going to move away, and he's got it's got somewhere to put it. But I'm not sticking mine, I'm just using it like this because it's sometimes I'm working on the dining table, sometimes working down here, sometimes it needs siding away. So, but this is what it looks like. It's plastic, and inside these little holes I've all got wires underneath and they're all linked up. Now down this side we've got positives and negatives, like lives and grounds, which is where the electricity comes in and out. So I've grounded and lived the circuit. We'll look at that in more detail. I'm not sure how much that is needed, but this is a 3.3 volts, so not many volts anyway, so that's okay. So this one, I'll get on to what this is, but it says 3.3 volts, so I've put the next along pin, but it could be any of those in row 1, and I've put it to the red here, and here it says GND for ground, and I've linked it to the blue here. Super. So that's a really good start. Now, these little wires I showed you in another video when I got the kit set up were just little wires I've got. They've got long pins on the end of them, if you can see that. I'm not sure what's a good background. Anyway, so there's some wires. It's got a long pin just there, and that just clicks in, and that's alive, so I can go there. Right. The red thing that looks like a T, I think is called a header. This is a 40-pin cable, which I've shown you before. 40-pin cable, and this clicks directly into the Raspberry Pi. So what this does is it takes all of this information, and if anything that you do is connected, anything that happens on these rows talks directly to the Raspberry Pi if you tell it to. Well, it talks directly, and then you can use it if you tell it to. So each of these little dots is connected to one of these rows, and they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 back and forth. So these ones are all the odds, these ones are all the evens. Now the numbering really matters because the first time I did this it didn't work, and the reason was because the code was correct, but I wasn't telling the computer correctly which of these to use. So I had to change the code slightly, so I'll show you where I've changed the code slightly, and number it to make sure I got the numbering right. And then it worked, so that's how I knew I got it right. Well done me. So this just comes in and out. It's just on pins. All of this on clicks. The whole point of the breadboard is that, you can see this pins, it just comes in and out easily. The whole point of this breadboard is that you can practice, you can put these things together. So all those wires and things that I bought, I don't need to buy any more, unless I'm doing something crazy, because I can just put them in and take them out, put them in, take them out. First of all, if I make a mistake, it's easy to undo. Second of all, when it comes to tidying up, it's really easy just to tidy up and put everything away. And if you want to start scratch, it's easy peasy. So you don't have to do any soldering, there's no mess. You don't have to need any wire cutters or trimmers or anything. Everything is ready and it's just in and out. So that is probably worth like the extra £10 compared to getting all the bits and pieces separately and having all the mess. So that's the point of the breadboard. You can get different bigger ones, but this one will do for this activity. So one of the first things they say is about setting up the light bulb and the resistor. So what have I got here? I've got the black and the orange wires are the ground and the power. I've used lots of different colours, so it's clear to see. Well, it should be clear to see. The white one, which could have been clearer, runs from a pin. Now I've chosen any pin that says GPIO. Now the GPIO matters because that is, the GP is to do with the computer and the IO is in and out. So if you choose something that doesn't say it says ground, for example, that's not an in and out, or a volts, that's also not. So you need to find one that says GPIO, because that's the in and out, and a number. And you stick it next to any of those. We'll go on about how they're numbered in a few minutes. From there, you take it down to a working space. Now this is where having a larger breadboard works better, because this takes up all of this space. So anything that happens on these lines talks to the computer. So you want to do your working lower down. So obviously I've got little patterns, so it doesn't matter, we can go down here. If you have a bigger breadboard, that gives you a bit more space to work. It comes down, I've put it from line 6 on the breadboard all the way down to line 27, just to get it out of the way. On line 27, I've also put one of the legs on my LED. So here's my LED. Now, as you can see, one leg is shorter. You can just about see, let's go back on there. One leg is shorter than the other. And the shorter leg goes, I believe, to the ground. Now that means this isn't the ground, this is coming from the volts. So the long leg goes next on row 27. So the white wire goes from row 6 to row 27. One hole in, along the same row 27, I've put the long leg of the green LED. And on the next row down, row 28, I've put the short leg of the green LED. Now, it does not matter if you've got it up or down. It does matter, it can't go side to side, because nothing happens. It's just like you showed its legs together. Nothing happens. So it has to go up and down, or it can go diagonally. But it's fitted perfectly to up and down. Then you need a resistor. I think that is a 220, they say. I'm just having a look at the colours. Doesn't help me a great deal. Resistors, and I'll do a session on these, so you can see, I'll take this one out. Resistors are colour coded. They're very clever because they come in thousands and thousands of different sizes, or at least loads. And you can see they've got lots of different coloured stripes on them. In one of my sections I showed you a resistor colour code chart. If you look online, they'll all be there. So the colour coding chart basically is instead of numbers, because numbers run off really easily, whereas if you have a ring of colour, the whole ring probably won't rub off really easily. So you need the right resistor that they say. If you Google an image of it, it'll come up with the right colours. So to do this, you do need a set of resistors and LEDs. And then I run that from 28, one of the squares next door to the LED leg, down to the negative, which in my case is the ground, which in my case is negative and is blue. So this, if you can just see that there, goes into the blue line, and here it's next, very difficult to see, but there it's next door to the LED. So that's all set up. Right, I should have tested this first. I did all this, I made it, and I was like, I'll just film it, it'll be easy. And I'm feeling a little bit nervous that for some reason the code won't work. We'll find out. I might have to do some live debugging. So I've plugged in the ribbon to both ends. So that's just like a fancy wire that joins the two together. To make the program, I showed in the Python Pong video, I showed you how to create a file. So you need to open your Pi directory, open up your folders, and then I've created a folder called My Work, which is just for my little fiddling bit. So I know everything I do goes into that folder. So if I have to wipe the whole thing, that's the folder of anything I've changed. So that's all I need to save. In there, I've made a separate folder. So I've got one folder that says Pong. I've now made a separate folder called LEDs, because I'm going to do a few projects with this. And if I open that, I made a new one. I called it One Flashing, all one word, because I want one LED flashing. One Flashing.py. And again, that tells us that it's going to be in Python. If you don't put the .py, you just get like a Word document. It's not Word, but similar, just a typing notebook document to type into, and that's no good. It doesn't tell it what you're writing in Pi, so it doesn't know you're writing a program, it doesn't know you're going to do anything exciting. So you just literally could just type a story in it, it makes no difference. So oneflashing.py. I open that up and I type in the instructions. Now I type them in almost completely as it's written. I made a couple of changes because it didn't work. And that's not their fault, that's just the way that it works with this. So for example, the major change that I made was, well, first of all, let's just see if this works. So Control S, sorry, to save it, and then F5, or I have to do it on here with my mouse. Is it going to work? And look! Yeah, it does work. Clever me. I made that work, flashing lights. Now, the first time I ran it, it didn't work. And then to make it stop, you have to just close the shell square. It says, do you want to kill it? And that's it. So the mistake I made, essentially, was in telling the computer, oh, I'd stopped it and it's left on. Oh, cute. Oh, I feel sorry, I'm going to have to unplug you soon. Sorry, little light. So the mistake I made in doing this was how the little pins here are numbered, because they're numbered in different ways, and there's two ways that I can find online mostly that make sense. One I don't understand, and this I use, and the other one I understand. So the first one is BCM, and that's what this uses. So when one of the lines, it says GPIO dot set mode brackets GPIO dot board, and what that means is we're telling you you're in and out using your 40-point cable. We're going to do the setup mode. So this line, what that says, it says to the computer, pay attention to this line. It tells you how to set up your 40-point cable. And then in brackets, it gives instructions. In the brackets, it says there's an in and out, which is the cable, and the numbering system we're using, and the number system that they use is the BCM. Not sure what that means. It's from what I could see, dot board works better for this, basically. So I had to find out online, and I changed it to dot board. Now the dot board numbering system is what is the odds on this side, evens on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I say 12, I stop at 12 because that's the row I used. You might remember earlier I said row 6, where I'd started right at the very top. Row 1 had pins 1 and 2 on, row 2 had pins 3 and 4 on, etc, etc. So the pin on the right on row 6 will be pin 12. So you have to be a little bit methodical to make this work. So I changed GPIO.BCM to GPIO.board, and it's just a different numbering system, and that works well with this component. So if you have one that looks like this, you need to do GPIO.board. If it doesn't look like this, if you've got the model number, I would just Google the model number and pin numbering, and see what comes up. But essentially, it's going to be a number between 1 and 40, because that's how many there are. So if you just keep changing the number, if it's not working, so you can find the right pin. So you put pin number 12, and that's mostly for your notes. GPIO.setMode, and I put .board, and then you have to put the number all the way through, and that's basically it. And then it works really well. And as you can see, light is now left on, because when I killed it, it was left on, so it hasn't changed. So if I run it again, it'll start flashing, and then I can turn it off. It'll just turn off when I unplug it. And it's very small volts, so you really can't damage yourself messing around with this. So there we go, how to make a light. Now, my next video is going to be how about making 2 lights flash. But I had a really good go at it yesterday, and I couldn't make it work. So I'm going to have another go at it today, because it's great finding tutorials online. The next stage of learning is to take what you learn in that tutorial and to set yourself something new. So learning along with me, we're not just copying stuff off the internet, we're going to find our own ideas. So I'm going to try and expand what I've got here and turn it into 2 lights flashing. Wish me luck. Bye.